Welcome back. As we settle into the new school year, it's important for parents to find ways to make the most of their time with their children after school. And listen, that can be really hard, especially when most parents are strapped for time. So here to help is Dr. Stephanie Boyce, the executive director of the Fresh Classroom, to really share her insights and help us out here. Thanks for joining us here on Midday.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Right. Glad to have you, especially when most people have the day off, right? To celebrate Labor Day. Listen, what are some key areas that parents should focus on to keep thriving emotionally and socially?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of times easier for us to put that focus really on the academics, you know, and that's so important. But a lot of our kiddos, they're at school all day long and they're focused on the academics and the routines and the structure. And so it's a good time when they get home for us to work on that what I call unseen curriculum, right? That's that social and emotional piece where I can ask my kid, for instance, what happened today? What was the best part of your school day? And when she tells me something, I can kind of lean into it, right? So in gym, she had a conflict with a friend one day, and I say, well, how did that make you feel? And then we use her emotions wheel, and she can tell me how it made her feel. And we can kind of coach through, what do you do when somebody doesn't want to share with you? Well, how does that make you feel? Well, how do you handle it? Well, I told her, well, you can't control what other people do, but what you can control. And so having those conversations about their social and emotional well-being, you become their first coach in how to regulate their own emotions and how to deal with people better.
You are absolutely right. Okay, so how do you ask these questions without it feeling like an interrogation?
For me, it really comes down to allowing the kiddo to lead, right? Allowing them to drive the conversation. So if I ask, well, what was the best part of your day? Or what was the most favorite thing that you learned today? And we start from there, which for my kid is usually recess or something around what they ate. Then we can lean into a conversation about some other things based on, again, digging deeper with their experiences, but allowing them to lead instead of it feeling like an interrogation of what did you learn and what did you do and a laundry list of questions.
I may need to use that advice with my husband because I ask him, how was your day? And it's just nothing special. Yeah, I may need to do that.
It's communication.
Yes. All right, let's talk about some activities, right? Kids love activities. And what can they do to practice that with family? I guess to incorporate that school routine when it comes to mindfulness and all of that.
Yeah, so for me, I like to say the first stop is a nature break. Right, when I get my kid, instead of driving, which I could, I walk. Now, everybody can't do that, but the way our lives are set up, we can walk. And so I walk when I pick her up. And that's our opportunity to first connect and talk. But then when it's not scalding hot outside, we will go to the park immediately. So any opportunity to connect with nature, to give them some autonomy. They don't have a lot of autonomy in their day. So allowing them to just choose, to run free, to play freely, that's the first stop for us in terms of unstructured time where they get to choose what they will do, but still kind of limiting the screen time if you get outside and get some nature connection.
That makes sense. Dr. Boyce, let's talk about the Fresh Classroom, what you do exactly, and then what you do inside of these schools.
Yes, so I've had the privilege of training thousands of teachers from coast to coast on just how to create classrooms that are fresh, that's fun, relevant, engaging, standards-based, and higher order. And so what we're looking at is how do we take the content that students have to learn and connect it to the things that they already know, care about, are interested in, so that we can increase their engagement and make them care about the things they have to learn when they come to school.
Yeah, and there was a study that just came out about classroom engagement and that kids really aren't engaging as much as they would have in previous years. So I think having those activities and making things fresh is so vital. Let's talk about this because last week we know DPD officer Darren Burks was killed in the line of duty. He was a community leader. We've all seen that. And you've decided to name a student scholarship for a future student in his name, in his honor. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been hard being in studio today just because the pictures and the packages that y'all ran earlier. I've had the privilege of knowing Burks, is what we call him. He's my frat brother, you know? And so I've been knowing Burks since college, and he's just what you call one of the good bros, you know? And it's just a stand-up guy, and he always has been. And so everyone has their ways that they honor, you know? I've seen candlelight vigils, and they're so beautiful, and tributes online on social media. And so for me, I'd say we all wish we can do something. And there's not much we can do except send our condolences to family and friends and frat and everybody that just loved him, former students. But he was an educator for about 17 years before he went into the force. And so for me, we know the research also tells us that that is a need to have men of color in classrooms and the impact that that has on students' learning. And so my way of honoring Burks is to name a student scholarship in his name for a male teacher that's going into the field to be a part of the solution, just like he was for his students. And so it's a small thing that we can do, but for North Texas Giving Day, we were already focused on fundraising for our org. And now we just specified a campaign for Burks.
What a way to honor his name and legacy. And we'll put that information on our website at WFAA.com. Dr. Boyes, thank you so much for joining us. Wow.